In this video, we're going to be adding some smarts to this old bucket of bolts. Now, if you've been around the channel, you remember when I brought this thing home and completely rebuilt it. I'll have links for that later. But what we're doing is we're going to be adding a Apple CarPlay Android Connect system to this bike. And this one is actually really simple to do. Now, the primary reason I'm doing this is because this bike, as you can see, it's a dual sport. It actually lives 99% of its life on the dirt and not on the street, even though it is street legal. And as that, I need a lot of navigation. We're doing trails, we're out in the open desert. And now with both Android Connect and Apple CarPlay, there's a bunch of off-road apps that you can run through your phone and through this. Gaia GPS and Onyx are the big two that I use. So that means now I can have full navigation on my bars when I'm going down the road. Right now though, let me get you into the installation process because these are actually extremely easy to install and you can actually use them on a couple different bikes, which is pretty cool. Now to give you a closer look at the screen, it's the same as the screen I actually installed in my car a while ago as far as appearance and functionality. It does give a little bit of a little hood there for glare, but on the back, this is what's different. It is weather sealed, everything is sealed up here, including the power button, and it has a ball mount for a RAM mount. So this is actually RAM mount compatible. Now it did come with mounts for you so you can mount it on your bars. I actually already have a RAM mount system here because I already run my phone on here as navigation. So it's as simple as this. You just clip it in there, tighten it down. And then you can just position it however you like for your navigation needs. Now, as far as powering it goes, that's another interesting thing. The easiest way to power it is really with this. This plugs right in the bottom here, and you have two different options, but this is the easy option, and this comes with a USB end on the other side. If you have USB on your bike, you can just plug it right into your USB port. I have one right under my screen here. And then if I key my bike on, this thing powers up. I'm actually not going to do it this way though, because I like having that USB port to be able to charge my phone, which I'm going to need if I'm running this thing. So I'm going to hardwire this in, and it actually came with a hard wiring kit. Same little adapter on this side, and then it has a fuse and wiring on the other end. So I'm going to be doing that real quick. I'll show you how we do that in case that's what you want to do. But the nice part about this is if you hardwire this onto your bike, you can unhook it with that same little thing, put the USB on it and stick it on another bike. Or you can also, if you have a truck, side-by-side or anything else, you could actually take this off USB power and put on your RAM mount in your truck, which I have this in my truck already, so I don't need it, but it is a nice option because that means one screen can kind of go everywhere. Now with my bike, all the wiring is behind the cowl here, and something to note, if you watched my previous video, I had a lot of people throw some hate on the cowl that I had put on the bike. It was a little funky looking cowl, and this is the original one, and I agreed with you all. I thought it looked terrible. So I actually took it off and I put the original back one on there. This one's a little bit more retro, but I'm old, so I'm retro, so it works. So let's get the cowl off here and get into my wiring. And with the cowl out of the way, we just got to get the headlight out of the way because the wiring's pretty short behind here, so we got to get some access. You'll notice it's dirty, and that's because, like I said, this thing spends most of its life in the desert doing desert things, so its natural habitat tends to come home with it. So now on this thing, and you're going to have to figure this out on your own bike because every bike's a little bit different, I'm looking for my 12 volt. Now my 12 volt is actually going to be the exact same circuit that I pulled off of for my USB, which is this circuit right here. So we're going to pull this guy apart. I have two connectors actually soldered in line. I'm going to tap off of these and get this thing set up. So we're going to disconnect first. And a tip here, if you're disconnecting things, because a lot of times things are color coded on your bike, instead of having to go back and chase things, I'm just going to take a quick picture so I can remember what wire is going to what. That's going to make reassembly a little easier. Now, I'm not going to do an entire step-by-step how to solder tutorial in here because I've already actually got that on the channel, and I will have a link for that down below. But what I'm doing is I'm just doing a simple splice into these wires. Very simple thing to do. Now, the wiring that this thing came with is actually long enough that you could connect it all the way to the battery on the bike if you wanted to do that. I don't want to do that because I'm afraid this thing is going to kill the battery on my bike. It does have a power on-off. It says it's not supposed to do that, but I'm doing this just kind of out of an abundance of caution, and that way this thing will turn on and off when I key the bike on and off. So we're just going to get in here and solder these in place. Another thing is a lot of newer bikes have more accessory space in this one. So you can usually find taps on newer bikes. This bike is ancient. It was never meant to have stuff like this on it because stuff like this wasn't even invented when this bike was made. Now with the soldering done, just going to go in here with a little bit of shrink tubing to weatherproof this whole situation. All right, look at that. Looks like we know what we're doing. Now we're going to just hook everything right back up in here. Boom, 1 and 2. All right, our bolt connectors are together. And before we button up the whole front of the bike, I'm going to key it on and just make sure the whole thing works. One other kind of cool thing to point out, the connectors have little weatherproof caps on them. So if you do unhook this from the bike and take it off, this part's still weatherproof. Let's key it on, make sure we got juice. And look at that, we've got power, it's coming on. So now let's just button up the bike, put everything back together, and get it out on the road. Now, I wish I had great audio from my ride to share with you, but I'm not a moto vlogger. I don't have the proper mic, so all you hear is wind noise. Check it out. So anyway, what I'm doing here and what I kind of played around with on a lot of this ride was just how well the screen worked and how well it reacted. And it actually reacted really well when I was using the fingers on my glove that are set up for touchscreen. So you're going to want to make sure that your gloves are set up to work with a touchscreen. If they are not, you can get some stuff you can paint on the fingers and these little sticky things you can put on the end of the fingers that will allow them to work. I'll have links down below, but don't spend your money until you know for sure you need them. Now, what I did notice on the ride was their touchscreen was actually very reactive when I was using the correct fingers. And because this is set up as Carplay, it's very easy to navigate through. Before, when I used to use my phone, all the icons were tiny and it was almost impossible to use as a navigation device. I could see it, but to really make any changes on the phone, I would have to actually take my glove off and reset it. Had no problems on this ride, so I have confidence when we go out into the desert and ride, we won't have any issues. Another thing that you're going to notice on this is that the screen is in a little bit different of a position than it was before. It used to be a little bit higher and I moved it lower. Now from the vantage point of the camera here, it completely blocks my gauges, but my camera is on my chest. From my head, I can actually see right over the top of this thing and see my gauges, my turn signals, my heat, everything. So that's why I moved it a little bit lower, so I would still have full view of all of my gauges and still be able to see everything. I also found out, because this thing has GPS on it, that my speedometer is reading a couple miles an hour off. More like 5 miles an hour off at 45, so this thing might actually save me a few speeding tickets too. So we buzzed up to one of my favorite little spots to stop off, lunch, have a hike. Wanted to show you how I'm listening to it. So you can use Cardos or anything Bluetooth, but I'm actually using my earbuds. The reason I like these is because they can go in and out of any helmet, and I don't currently have my wireless setup in the helmet that I'm riding right now, but it can pair to any set of Bluetooth earbuds, so you can listen to it inside your helmet and control all the volumes and everything through that. Now, this thing, if you have a car, usually you have to plug the phone in. This thing, you don't have to plug the phone in, it's just Bluetooth. So I just shove it in my jacket pocket and it connects up, and it seems to be connecting up pretty well. I haven't had any real glitches with it. It's run the whole time on this ride just fine, so I don't have any reason to think it'll give me problems in the future. Now, if I did have to gripe about one thing, it would be the screen itself. It's actually very reactive with the touch, but you'll notice it has a reflective cover on it. And on my phone, I actually have a non-reflective cover, and it actually does better. So I think at some point I'm going to get a screen protector on here that's a matte finish, so it doesn't reflect as much. Although it's a bright day out, and when I have the brightness turned up all the way, it actually, you can see it just fine. So it might not even be an issue. So this is something you're looking at doing on your bike. It's something pretty quick and easy that you can do in probably 15-20 minutes in your garage. And then you've got navigation, Bluetooth, all that good stuff on your handlebars, and you control your headphones too if you want to listen to music while going down the road. So if this is something you're thinking about doing, getting navigation in your bars, this is an inexpensive alternative, a lot cheaper than a lot of the other things that are out there. And so far it's working pretty well. So we'll have a link down below if you do want to check it out. But if this video helped you out, gave you inspiration, or you just enjoyed it, give it a great big thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. We've always got stuff like this coming your way on the channel. And of course, thanks for watching.